delivered their full potential, to be honest, with that car so far this year. It's looked good, hasn't it? Looked pretty handy. But if you look at the long runs yesterday, you know, Felipe Massa was as strong, if not stronger, than anybody else on the racetrack. So we'll see how that translates. But Williams are definitely right in the mix with Ferrari and Red Bull.
OK, Canada, home of the Moose and the Mountie and the national obsession, which is, of course, ice hockey. So on Wednesday, we've got Crofty to strap on some skates and go and face off against a Finn and a Russian.
Come on, boys. Don't waste your time in the locker room. We've got to get on the ice. You ready? Let's go. Stop what you're doing. I'm here. Stick with me. We'll be all right. Where's the ball? Yeah, I won the face-off. Get it in your face. Man, how'd you lift it up in the air? I'm going to wind up for the big one. Is that allowed? Are you allowed to control it with your skate? Yeah, can you? I'm rubbish.
No, come on, me too.
Oh, no, you can stand up at least. I've been benched already. So it's my first game of ice hockey, and I'm totally exhausted. I think I made a few telling contributions, most of which were falling over. Guys, that was great fun. I mean, I'm sweating buckets, and you two, you must have been working hard. You're sweating for the first time ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot different to the training we normally do. You use different muscles, and, you know, it's a really physical sport. I mean, when you push hard, it's quite tough, but really good fun, really good fun.
I found that out when I nearly flattened you.
Yeah, you looked quite as much as me. Well, I didn't play for like 10 years at least.
Really?
But in Russia it's quite a popular sport, so almost every kid has to try it at least once.
I did my research before I came out. 53 matches, Finland and Russia at ice hockey. I'm really sorry about this. 35 wins to Russia, 18 wins to Finland, but there's only about 2 people live in Finland, and there's about 20 billion live in Russia, so there's a few more good ice hockey players.
They always have good games in between. It's they're both always in top 5 of the World Championships, so it's always good fun to watch the game of the neighbours.
What about you two? I mean, Monaco wasn't great for either of you, and I'm really sorry about that, because it was completely out of your control.
For my part, I think also for Walter, well, it was looking good until the thing happened, so have to take the best out of it and go forward. So that's how I think it should be.
Keep smiling, eh?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, it was a difficult weekend. Also until the failure, but we were looking to get some points. But you know, that's now behind.
Would you say that if you could have a Mercedes engine, that it might be an advantage this weekend in Canada? I mean, you're already grinning at that one.
Would you change? Well, it's useless to think about it. I mean, we have what we have, and I think Brandon has been developing okay.
Yeah.
And I think actually here, you know, we came to Monaco expecting to suffer a bit, but in the end it was good weekend for us until that failures. But I think in Canada we can do as well a good job. But this is one of those tracks where I believe everything can happen. You just have to keep your head down and work as hard as possible. It doesn't matter what happens.
Guys, have a great weekend. I want to see points from both of you. Yeah?
Thank you.
Good man.
Cheers.
Take care. Cheers, Steve.
Thanks.
I can't stand up, man. Don't, I'm going. Oh, I'm gone. I'm gone.
Sorry, mate. Help? I didn't expect it.
Now, Crofty, we need to continue this talking to you about your sporting performance. This is following the jet skiing debacle in Monaco. Just in case you missed it a couple of weeks ago, we couldn't resist just plopping this one back in. This was you on the ice, and as if that wasn't enough to look forward to tomorrow, Crofty does indoor skydiving. Now, we'd love to hear from you at home. I want to see a few more suggestions for extreme sports. I think there's a feature in this. I'm thinking you might be able to run the bulls in Pamplona in a, I don't know, cow outfit or something like that. Might be one thing for you to do. But yeah, it looked pretty difficult.
Yeah, can I just say, whether the water's frozen or not, I'm rubbish, to be honest. I only go ice skating once a year, and that's with my kids. They think I'm holding on to them to keep them up. It's actually the other way around.
All right.
But I'll do ski jumping in Austria. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds very good. The new Eddie the Eagle Edwards. I can see that one working.
The Lofty Crofty the Eagle. Yeah,
Lofty
I can see it coming.
Get your suggestions in. There you are. Gee whiz, I don't know. Right, okay, let's move it on seriously to those two as well. Let's talk a little bit more about Danny Kvyat. Just the way this guy continues to impress everyone, I think, has been charmed by him as well.
I mean, wow, how impressive. And I thought the youngsters would struggle with these cars because they're difficult to drive. They've got 4 or 5 times more torque, more twisting power coming out of the engine in certain parts of the rev range than cars we've had in recent years. And all these kids have come through Formula Dallara with massive grip, underpowered cars, and I thought they'd just struggle with these, and they haven't. They've just come with an open mind. They're reactive, they've got skills, and in a way I think it's actually helped them in the end because they've come with no preconceptions of how much grip they should have from blown exhausts and lots more downforce, and they're just doing a brilliant job. And Bottas I would put in there as well. Kvyat, of course, Magnussen, and those guys are showing that they can handle them, and they're stars of the future.
When teams are talking about cost-cutting as well, most importantly, they're cheap, aren't they? Comparatively.
Cheap, and they do as they're told, and they'll have to sign contracts that are 1 year with a 1 or 2 year extension with a unilateral option in favour of the team, for example. They're coming at it with no position of strength, unlike the more established drivers who can start calling the shots a little bit. So if they keep getting the job done and they're marketable, like Kvyat's, we want him on our TV, don't we? He's an interesting little fella to talk to, and that's a very important element for the team as well, because the sponsors need them to be somebody they can push out front. So if they can do that as well, and they can keep the throttle pinned to the firewall, great.
It's quite interesting though, isn't it? We talk quite often about the young driver programme from Toro Rosso and from Red Bull as well. If you look at those that have kind of been discarded in the past, Liuzzi, Speed, Bourdais, Buemi, Alguersuari, the list goes on. Is there a certain kind of person, do you think, that Red Bull are really looking for? It seems they don't go for the superstars. Seb downplays things. Danny Rick's a great guy, but he's no ego, is he? Do you think Danny Kvyat fits into that sort of mould?
I think in the Dr. Helmut Marko's school of hard knocks, I think that gets knocked out of them, frankly. And I don't, you can't be big-headed or have, all racing drivers have got egos and determination, of course, but you've got to control, you've got to use it as a force to drive you forwards, not a box to stand on to say, look at me. And I think they're not going to get through that Red Bull system, frankly, if they're like that. And there's no doubt about it, it's performance-driven, and that's why it's no surprise when they turn. I mean, we all thought, well, there's 1 or 2 others you should put in ahead of Kvyat, and they chose him, and they've been right.
Okay. Well, as we're saying, if ice hockey is a national obsession, this is pretty close as well. They love it here, the fans in Montreal, and Damon and Johnny are out amongst them.
Well, Johnny, here we are, down behind